Most people treat the book of Revelation as if it's a coded storybook or some sort of horror story. But what if I told you that to truly understand the book of Revelation, we have to start with three foundational truths? Here are the three. The first is that the book of Revelation is actually a letter. The second is that the book of Revelation is indeed a prophecy. And the third thing is that the book of Revelation is an apocalypse. All three of these aspects of the book of Revelation is addressed to 7 churches in Asia Minor. There are actually 7 churches that existed in real time, and we want to break down exactly what these aspects of the book of Revelation meant to them. Let's take a closer look. When we take a look at the very first verses of the book of Revelation, we find in Revelation chapter 1, verse 4, that it states that this is John writing to the 7 churches that are in Asia. This means that the letter was actually deeply personal. These were real communities facing real problems, dealing with real persecution, undergoing real compromise, dealing with false teaching, and all sorts of spiritual apathy. This means when we read the book of Revelation, it's actually someone else's mail. But here's the key. Because it's inspired scripture, it's also for us as well. God is actually revealing to us what he expects from his people who live in all sorts of pressure, confusion, and chaos. Next, the book of Revelation is actually a prophecy. We find this in Revelation chapter 1, verse 3, where it says, "Blessed is the one who reads aloud the words of this prophecy." Prophecy isn't just simply about predicting the future as we've always known it to be, but actually biblical prophecy calls God's people to faithfulness in today's world and also in the world that we're reading about. It expects them to give God their hearts and give God their commitment in a world that is very challenging. The book of Revelation is actually God's commentary on history, past, present, and what we can learn for the future. So therefore, prophecy actually comforts the afflicted. It confronts some of the real issues that we all face as God's people, and it clarifies for us what God's plans are for his people throughout eternity. The third thing we recognize is that the book of Revelation is actually an apocalypse. The word apocalypse means it's unveiling something. It's revealing something that was once kept secret. And in Revelation chapter 1, verse 1, it actually says the revelation of Jesus Christ. So more than being the revelation of the end times or the revelation of what is to happen in the future, it is actually a revelation of Jesus Christ. This genre is normally called or referred to as apocalyptic literature. It has all sorts of vivid imagery and symbols and dramatic visions to show us how heaven is somehow now invading earth and the two are joining together. It leaves us understanding that Christ is indeed king. He is absolutely the person that the Gospels say he is, and the testimony that his followers have been carrying are actually true. So here's the key. When we actually understand that the book of Revelation is a letter, it is an apocalypse, and it is also a prophecy, we're able to understand how these words apply first to 7 churches that are scattered along Asia Minor. We begin to consider what these words mean to the original audience before we can even understand what it might mean to us. We don't start with the beast or the plagues or the bowls, but rather we start with Jesus, his people, and also the call for them to overcome the challenges that they are facing. Now, here's what we get out of this revelation. This is what we can take away as a principle for us. We are actually seeing the book of Revelation share with us how God sees creation, how God sees the dilemmas that we face on a day-to-day basis. And what God reveals to us helps us form our habits and our ability to worship God. It actually helps us understand that while we are suffering, we have a reason to hope. It helps us understand that when we face all sorts of resistance and all sorts of situations, we have no reason to compromise, but rather we should live in the hope that Christ will show up on the scene and he will deliver us from our struggles. So the book of Revelation is not at all a book that is intended to frighten us, but rather it is a unveiling of Jesus Christ that is supposed to lead us to hope and lead us to confidence. Now, this is just a glimpse of what the book of Revelation is all about, but I believe we have a lot more to uncover. So if you want to find out more, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and leave some comments in the comment box below to share your thoughts on the book of Revelation and why it is relevant to everyday life. Until next time, thank you for watching. Take care, God bless, and remember, live by the word.